Before we start the video, this video is not made for kids. It's for older fans of the show and adults only. So shut the fuck up or you'll end up like that fucking bastard Godred. Culdee's Memories. The Culdee Fell Railway is unique on Sodor, being the only railway that goes up a mountain and running on a rack and pinion system. The engines are unique in that regard. The engines are Ernest, Wilfred, Culdee, Shane Dooney, Patrick, Alaric, and Eric.
Wait, why the fuck am I in this stupid crappy story? Ouch.
The bridge at Abbey had been repaired. So had Wolfgang, the bright red Austrian electric locomotive, and Helga, the ehemalige Diva der Schienen, had gone back to Germany. Traffic had returned to Kirkmaiden. Servus Culdee, wie geht's? Mir geht's gut, danke. Mir geht's gut, danke. Culdee chuckled. It's been a long time since we've seen him or any traffic at Kirkmaiden. It's a long time since we've seen Wolfgang. And, have you seen those new gorges that the fucking trawler's got? Yeah, replied Culdee. I've seen them. They're silver. Wolfgang knew what they were talking about. Ah ja, ich weiß, wovon Sie sprechen. Diese Werke sind Silberling genannt. Ich habe mich selbst noch nicht gezogen, aber mein Zug ist the Mountain Flyer. Just at that moment, Shen Valley came in with the new Silberling coaches, and it was time for Wolfgang to depart. Wusstest du, die alte Loks? Ach, tut mir leid, ich muss jetzt abfahren. Bis später. Später, said Culdee. Wolfgang would come back, as he was curious about what Culdee said about the old engines. Culdee was about to leave when Alaric spoke up. Do you mean the old German engines that ran between the 40s and the 80s? Yes, they were. They came over as war reparations. Then Culdee began to remember. Es war 1946, die Loks erstmals zur Eisenbahn kamen. Befehle von britischen Besatzungskräften sind gekommen. In nächsten wenigen Wochen, ihr seid alle nach Sodor verschifft werden. Was? So können wir nicht hier bleiben. Wieso? Diese Befehle sind abschließend. Keine Fragen mehr. Erinnert, wir haben den Krieg verloren. Nach Sodor? Es ist auch im Auftrag der Peel Godred Elektrische Eisenbahngesellschaft. Es ist mir trotzdem egal. Sobald wir dieses Land verlassen können, wird es alles besser. Und damit wir alles vergessen können. Then Patrick came in. Culdee? What are you on about again? Culdee groaned at Patrick being disrespectful again. About those old engines? Come on now, Culdee. It's time you and Catherine went up the mountain. Yes, I know. I will have to tell the others and Wolfgang later. Stolzkopf. Nenn mich nicht Stolzkopf. Wolfgang, meanwhile, had caught up with Kildane and Horwin Lane. Do you remember the old engines that Culdee was on about? He asked. Horwin Lake knew what they were. Oh yes, when the Woodhead Line closed, we were going to the scrap heap before we got purchased to replace the old engines. Yes, added Kildane. We were converted to run on 15 kilovolt AC from our original 15,000 volt DC on the Woodhead. And by 1983, we were ready to work and started work on the Peel Godred Line. Shame, I can't run on 15,000 volt DC anymore, so I could go back to the Netherlands where I worked for a bit in the early 70s. Owen Lake had a smug look on his face. Do you still remember how to speak Dutch? Hesitated Kildane. Not very well now. I can still remember the numbers from 20 onwards are said with the units first, like 21, 22, and 23, and so on. It is the same in German. Zum Beispiel 21, 22, 23, 24, and so on. 21 bis 99. Wolfgang then heard his guard whistle and had to leave, but the engines were all curious about Culdee's memories about the old Peel Godred engines. That evening, the engines had gathered at Kirkmachen, where Culdee continued the story. It was that summer when the new electric engines first came. Do you remember when we first met? I do. The engines were in a strange land, in former enemy territory. But for why they came to Sondor, all they knew it was because Germany lost the war. They were war reparations to replace the old Swiss-built electric locomotives. I remember that day. Ach, hallo, sind Sie hier neu? Sprechen Sie nicht zu uns. Wir sind Kriegsentschädigung. Aber es ist in der Vergangenheit. Egal. Moment mal, welche Art der Lok seid ihr? Aber natürlich. Wir sind Gebrauchsbahnloks. Gebrauchsbahn? Ja, darf ich erklären? And so it was us two who broke the ice. And since we could speak German, we also helped the engines with their English too. Patrick had a bit of a smirk on his face. Sind das die Loks, die beim Aldi gekauft wurden? Everyone glared at Patrick for a moment. What the fuck? Came a voice. Aldi existiert sogar nicht bis 1946. Nach dem Krieg. Culdee glared at Patrick, who then had to retract his words. Anyway, as I was saying, in 1947, the Peel Godred Electric Railway Company was acquired by the Northwestern Railway. The Swiss-built locomotives had gone back to Switzerland, and the locomotives were improving on their English. Of course, we gave them help with their English. We still chatted in German, of course. Yeah, and of course, rationing was still on. The station cafe was not running at full strength, and people still went to the pub more. Nun, was war dieser Klang? Ach, nur eine Schlägerei in der Kneipe. Rationierung, ja. Mehr oder weniger. And of course, 7 years later. Hey, Alter, du bist auf Ruhe? Was ist es jetzt? Ah, ja! Mein Lokführer sagt mir, dass das Ende der Rationierung ist. Endlich! At that time, the line was undergoing repairs to improve speeds, strengthening the infrastructure, rebuilding bridges and whatnot. Car ownership was on the rise and more roads were being built, as well as car parks to accommodate people wishing to park at the station. Hast du schon mal so viele Autos gesehen? Nein, nicht mich. Sogar nicht zurück in Deutschland. The upgrades took a while, and while the railway was losing some traffic to the roads, there were just some things that the railway was better at handling. Then, the electric engines spoke up. Around the same time, the Woodhead electrification had been completed and we were running passengers and freight on the line. It was meant to be a shining example of modernity with colour light signals and all, but then, of course, came British Railways Modernisation Plan. Abbey just scoffed. Oh, don't get us started on that. We had our fair share of failures. But then Kildane added solemnly. But we were soon to be deemed non-standard, and in 1970, our passenger services were controlled. Then, some of our locomotives, and I myself, were shipped over to the Netherlands to work for Nederlandse Spoorwegen, where I worked for a few years from 1971 to 1977 before coming back to the Woodhead. Culdee hesitated. Well, it is somewhat linked to our story here, but carry on. And then in the 1970s, the Woodhead Line was in decline, as gradually the traffic that was the bread and butter of the Woodhead Line was becoming less and less. The mines in Yorkshire were also in decline, as well as our non-standard electrification, which at that point was becoming too expensive to replace. Then, in 1981, it was all over. The line closed. We lay in a state of flux for a year in Reddish Depot, whilst we watched our classmates go for their last journeys over the Pennines, and then for scrapping in Rotherham. But fortunately, the Fat Controller came to Reddish Depot in 1982 and purchased 6 of us, and we were sent to Crovens Gate Works to be converted to 15 kilovolts for the Peel Godred Line. Then Culdee sighed, and at the same time, the German engines could see that their time on the railway was about to end. Wir müssen Ihnen etwas erzählen. Es ist für uns fast vorbei.
Wieso?
Wirklich? Ja, der dicke Kontrolleur sagt, dass uns mit Gebrauchslokomotiven aus der geschlossenen Woodhead Line ersetzen wird. Wir wissen nicht, was unsere Zukunft besteht. Wir werden zurück nach Deutschland gehen und ich empfinde für Verschrottung.
Wie bedauerlich.
Ja, Anfang des Jahres 1983, dann werden wir ersetzen. And then I thought, wir sollten uns einen Abschied teilen. And yes, in early 1983, you lot entered service. Then Andy added something. We didn't come until 1998, after Virgin Trains declared us surplus in 1997. Then we were converted to 15 kilovolt usage. Then Shen Valley thought, wasn't one of them preserved? You did tell us, Culdee. Oh yes, E3, or Gerhard as he's now called. He's preserved in Germany, and at one time he used to run on the main line, but now he's mainly a museum locomotive.
Oh, halt deine Fresse, du Diva!
As the engines finished hearing the story, the attention turned to Kildane, who mentioned his stay in the Netherlands. They started teasing him about it. You should probably tell us more, and try to relearn your Dutch that you learned. Exactly, we need a Dutch-speaking engine on this island. Well, my crew speak French. Well, Swiss French, being from Montreux, but hey, that's also the language of Belgium. Everyone was eager to hear, but... Godverdomme!